By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how the FIRE movement works, how to calculate the number that sets you free, and how to use it even if retiring at 35 sounds completely insane to you. And the third thing, the one nobody tells you about FIRE, completely reframes what the whole movement is actually about. So grab a seat, let's get into it. Here's the uncomfortable truth underneath all of this. The average American saves about 3.5% of their income. At that rate, you'll work until you're 65, maybe longer. That's not a life plan, that's just the default, and most people never question it. FIRE stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. The math behind it is almost offensively simple. One number changes everything, and you can calculate yours in about 30 seconds. Take your annual living expenses, multiply by 25. That's your FIRE number. The portfolio size where your investments generate enough to cover your life permanently based on a safe 4% annual withdrawal. Spend $40,000 a year, your number is $1 million. Spend $60,000, $1.5 million. That's the whole equation. Now here's where it gets interesting. It's not your income that determines when you retire, it's your savings rate. A nurse saving 65% of a $60,000 salary will reach financial independence before a doctor saving 10% of a $300,000 salary. Same math, completely different outcome. Pete Adeney, better known as Mr. Money Mustache, published a post in 2012 called "The Shockingly Simple Math Behind Early Retirement" that broke this down in a table. Save 10% of your income and you'll retire in 51 years. Save 25%. 32 years. Hit 50% and that drops to 17 years. Doesn't matter what you earn. The gap between what you make and what you spend is the only variable that matters. Pete and his wife retired in 2005 at age 30 with roughly $600,000 saved, living on about $25,000 a year in Longmont, Colorado. He rode old bikes instead of driving. He did his own home repairs. He started a blog. By 2018, that blog was generating over $400,000 a year in ad revenue, more than he ever made as a software engineer. The man retired and accidentally built a media company. Here's your easy win from all of this. Go calculate your FIRE number tonight. Annual expenses times 25. Write it down. That number stops being an abstraction the moment you can see it. It becomes a target. And targets, unlike vague financial anxiety, are things you can actually move toward. One more thing before we go further. A 25-year-old investing $500 a month into an index fund, averaging 7% real annual returns, will have approximately $1.3 million by age 55, 10 years before traditional retirement age. That's half a car payment and a couple of streaming subscriptions per month, buying a decade of freedom. Wait until 30 to start? You'll need to work an extra 2 years to reach the same number. Every year of delay is a year of freedom spent. The math doesn't care about your intentions, only your start date. All right, so that's the foundation. But here's where most people get tripped up. They hear FIRE and assume it means retiring at 35 on a diet of rice and discipline. That's one version. It's not the only version. FIRE has forks in the road, and 2 of them are genuinely achievable for regular people without extreme sacrifice. The first is Barista FIRE. You build a portfolio that almost covers your expenses, but not quite. So you work part-time, something low stress, mainly for health insurance and a bit of social structure. You've left the career that was grinding you down. The portfolio does most of the heavy lifting, and you cover the rest with something you actually don't mind doing. It's a real off-ramp that most people never consider. The second is Coast FIRE, and this one might be the most psychologically powerful of all. Invest enough, early enough, that compound growth carries you to your full retirement number by traditional retirement age without adding another dollar. Then you coast. Work less. Work differently. Take your foot off the gas because the car already has enough momentum. Here's what that looks like in practice. If you're 30 years old with $200,000 invested, at 7% average annual return, you'll have approximately $1.07 million by age 60, without contributing a single additional cent. You've already won the retirement game. Now you just have to not lose it. Tanja Hester, a political consultant who retired at 38 with her husband after saving roughly 70% of their income, said it better than anyone. Financial independence isn't about never working again. It's about never having to make a decision based on money again. Sit with that for a second. Not quitting your job, not disappearing to a beach, just removing money as the reason you say yes to things you know, hate and no to things you love. That's the whole thing. If this is clicking for you, hit subscribe. I put out videos like this every week. And stay with me because the last piece is the one that actually makes all of this work in the real world. Okay, remember how I said the third thing completely reframes what FIRE is actually about? Here it is. Most people think the hard part of FIRE is the math. The math is actually the easy part. Index funds, low fees, time, patience. Vanguard's VTSAX charges 0.04% in annual fees, $4 on every 10,000 invested per year. The S&P 500 has returned roughly 10% annually over the long run. The tools are available, cheap, and boring in the best possible way. The real leverage is optionality, and two tactics unlock it completely. The first is geographic arbitrage. Jeremy and Winnie, who run the blog Go Curry Cracker, retired in their early 30s with about $1.2 million. For years, they traveled Asia, Latin America, and Europe and paid $0 in federal income tax, legally. They'd sit in a Chiang Mai cafe, full meal for $2, ceiling fans overhead, their portfolio compounding back home, income managed carefully below capital gains tax thresholds. The same $40,000 a year that feels constrained in Ohio is an upper middle class life in Colombia or Thailand. Their money didn't just retire, it traveled with them. The second is the Roth conversion ladder. This is how FIRE retirees access their money before age 59 and a half without the 10% early withdrawal penalty. You convert small amounts from a traditional IRA into a Roth IRA each year, keeping your taxable income low. After 5 years, that converted money is yours, penalty-free. It's not a loophole. It's the tax code working exactly as designed. Most people just don't know it exists. But here's what the spreadsheet version of FIRE never tells you. Most FIRE retirees never actually stop working. Pete Adeney kept blogging. Brandon Ganch, who retired at 34 as the mad scientist, kept writing and consulting. He admitted that the first year of retirement felt directionless. He'd spent so long optimizing for freedom that he'd never figured out what the freedom was for. He called it the FIRE Hangover. Tanja Hester became an author. They kept working. They just stopped having to. That's the whole point. Work becomes a choice. Every single day becomes a choice. The goal was never to stop doing things. It was to stop being forced. And once you see it that way, the number on your spreadsheet isn't a finish line. It's a key. The door it opens isn't a beach somewhere. It's your actual life, built around what you'd choose if money wasn't the reason you said yes. So there it is. Calculate your FIRE number tonight. Expenses times 25. Find the version of FIRE that fits your actual life, whether that's Coast, Barista, or the full thing. And remember, every year you wait is a year of freedom you're trading away without realizing it. The math is simple. The start date is now. If this video helped you see things differently, share it with someone who's been feeling stuck, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Next week, we're breaking down exactly how index fund investing works, and why most actively managed funds quietly underperform the boring option every single